Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad-Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Iskcon founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad-Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samveta Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Bhaktidasa, can you turn off the heater? So today we will speak on the significance of Deepavali. Is this it? Bhaktidas.
Yes, sir.
Here, the heater. Turn off the heater.
It is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, excuse me for that brief interruption. In Srila Prabhupada's purport to Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 9, verses 1 and 2, he writes, quote, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, quoting from the Vaishnav Toshani of Srila Sanatan Goswami, says that the incident of Krishna's breaking the pot of yogurt and being bound by Mother Yasoda took place on the Deepavali day, or Deepa Malika. Even today in India, this festival is generally celebrated very gorgeously in the month of Kartik by fireworks and lights, especially in Bombay. And now I will read a short excerpt from my forthcoming book about Srila Prabhupada Juhu called I'll Build You a Temple, the Juhu story. And this is a remembrance of Diwali in Juhu. One year, actually 1974, when Srila Prabhupada was there. Srila Prabhupada was like a grandfather to the children of Juhu, affectionate and tolerant. A couple of days after he completed his translation of Sri Caitanya-caritamrta, which we celebrated just 2 days ago, on Diwali, there were fireworks, both literal and figurative, at Hare Krishna land. As Smriti, baby warrior, recalled, quote, on Diwali evening, Mother Canto was in the women's ashram above our flat, and we were outside setting off fireworks. It was around 9, and I guess she wanted to rest, but we weren't finished playing. So she started throwing buckets of water down on us. My brothers and I marched up to Srila Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada's servant, Chaitya Guru, caught us and said, "You cannot go in there, he's resting." We must have made a lot of noise because Prabhupada called, "Let them in." My brothers went in and pleaded that we wanted to do fireworks, but Prabhupada said, "No, it's too noisy." So my brothers gave up and walked out. But I, the youngest, stood there and said, "But it's Diwali. We've got to break some firecrackers." Then Prabhupada said, "All right, until 10 o'clock. But after that, no more." So we got permission and broke firecrackers. And the next morning, Mother Kanta came with a plate of Mahaprasad and apologized for throwing water on us. And then Smriti adds, being so close to Srila Prabhupada at Hare Krishna land, we got to associate with him in a different light. So now we will read today's verse from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 31. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Gopyada te tvai kritaka siddhamatavad. Yate dashasru kalilanjana sambramaksham. Vaktram niniya bhaya bhavanaya stitasya. Samam vimohayati bir apiyad bibeti. Gopyada de tvai kritaga siddhamatavad. Yate dashashru kalilanjana sambramaksham. Vaktram niniya bhaya bhavanaya stitasya. Samam vimohayati bir apiyad bibeti. Gopi, the cowherd lady Yasoda, Adade took up Tvai on your Kritagasi, creating disturbances by breaking the butter pot. Dhamma, rope. Tavat, at that time. Ya, that which. Te, your. Dasha, situation. Ashu Kalila, overflooded with tears. Anjana, ointment. Sambrama, perturbed. Aksham, eyes. Vaktram, face. Niniya, downwards. Bhaya bhavanaya, by thoughts of fear. Stitasya, of the situation. Sa, that. Mam, me. Vimohayati, bewilders. Be api, even fear personified. Yat, whom. Bibeti, is afraid. Translation. My dear Krishna, Yasoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes, and you were afraid, although fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me. Report by Srila Prabhupada. Here is another explanation of the bewilderment created by the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Because in the previous verses, Queen Kunti was also citing other pastimes of the Lord that were bewildering to her. Purport. Here's another explanation of the bewilderment created by the pastimes of the Lord. The Supreme Lord is the supreme in all circumstances, as already explained. Here is a specific example of the Lord's being the supreme and at the same time a plaything in the presence of his pure devotee. The Lord's pure devotee renders service unto the Lord out of unalloyed love only, and while discharging such devotional service, the pure devotee forgets the position of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord also accepts the loving service of his devotees more relishably when the service is rendered spontaneously out of pure affection without anything of reverential admiration. Generally, the Lord is worshipped by the devotees in a reverential attitude. But the Lord is meticulously pleased when the devotee, out of pure affection and love, considers the Lord to be less important than himself. As Srila Prabhupada says, everyone worships the Lord with awe and reverence and veneration. Who will chastise the Lord? But sometimes the Lord wants to be chastised, but who can chastise the Lord? So only a pure devotee in Vrindavan. Because in Vrindavan, Krishna's pastimes are Nar-lila, human-like pastimes, and by the influence of Yoga Maya, the devotees forget that Krishna is God, and Krishna also forgets that he's God. by the influence of Yoga Maya. There are two types of Maya, Mahamaya, which deludes the fallen conditioned souls and makes them forget Krishna, and Yoga Maya, which partially reveals and partially conceals the Lord. Under the influence of Yoga Maya, the Lord is revealed as the all-attractive, supreme lovable person, but not as God Almighty. So in Vrindavan, under the influence of Yoga Maya, the devotees forget that Krishna is God. And under the influence of Yoga Maya, Krishna also forgets that he's God. So when Mother Yasoda holds the stick and Krishna is afraid and his eyes become overflooded with tears, which wash the mascara from his eyes, he's not pretending. Because by Yoga Maya's influence, he is not thinking that he's God, but he's thinking that he's the son of Mother Yasoda, and my mother is angry with me, and I'm in trouble. So, generally, the Lord is worshipped by the devotees in a reverential attitude. But the Lord is meticulously pleased when the devotee, out of pure affection and love, considers the Lord to be less important than himself. The Lord's pastimes in the original abode of Goloka Vrindavan are exchanged in that spirit. The friends of Krishna consider him one of them. They do not consider him to be of reverential importance. The parents of the Lord, who are all pure devotees, consider him a child only. The Lord accepts the chastisements of the parents more cheerfully than the prayers of the Vedic hymns. Similarly, he accepts the reproaches of his fiancés more palatably than the Vedic hymns. Now, this particular section of the purport parallels a section in Sri Caitanya-caritamrta in which Krishna explains his mood and his descent. So this, I'll read those verses from Sri Caitanya-caritamrta, Adi Lila, chapter 4, text 17. I have it here. Aishwarya Ganete Sava Jagat Mishrita Aishwarya Stila Preme Nahi Mora Prita. Lord Krishna thought, all the universe is filled with the conception of my majesty, but love, weakened by that sense of majesty, does not satisfy me. Amare Ishwara Mane Apana Kehina Tara Preme Vasha Amina I Adina. If one regards me as the Supreme Lord and himself as a subordinate, I do not become subservient to his love, nor can it control me. Amaketa ye bhakta bhaja ye bhave, tare se bhave bhaji e mor swabhave. In whatever transcendental mellow my devotee worships me, I reciprocate with him. That is my natural behavior. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. By his inherent nature, the Lord, by his inherent nature, reveals himself before his devotees according to their inherent devotional service. The Vrindavan pastimes demonstrated that although generally people worship God with reverence, the Lord is more pleased when a devotee thinks of him as his pet son, personal friend, or most dear fiancé, and renders service unto him with such natural affection. The Lord becomes a subordinate object of love in such transcendental relationships. Such pure love of Godhead is unadulterated by any tinge of superfluous, non-devotional desires, and is not mixed with any sort of fruitive action or empiric philosophical speculation. It is pure and natural love of Godhead, spontaneously aroused in the absolute stage. This devotional service is executed in a favorable atmosphere, freed from material affection. So we have to be careful here to understand our positions in devotional service and to progress step by step. There's a class of people, devotees or so-called devotees, called sahajiyas, who take things very cheaply. And jumping over the sense of subordination to the Lord and servitorship to the Lord, they imagine that they have some intimate relationship with the Lord as the devotees in Vrindavan have. So for us who are conditioned by the idea that we're the supreme or the desire to be the supreme, it's essential that we realize our, subordination and servitorship to the Lord. As Lord Chaitanya says, Jive Swarapai Krishna Nityadas. The constitutional position of the living entity is to be the eternal servant of Krishna. So we have to realize that. And not even directly the servant, but Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Dasa Dasani Dasa, the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, the maintainer of the damsels of Vrindavan. traveling with Srila Prabhupada in India, I met a couple who you could say were sahajiyas. I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on them. I mean, they hosted Srila Prabhupada and us in their home in Madras. And in a way, they were very nice and hospitable. And he had a deity of Krishna. And he dressed the deity in black. It's always in black. So, we asked him, why do you dress the deity in black all the time? He said, because otherwise the deity's effulgence is too blinding for us. So, one day, he and his wife came into Srila Prabhupada's room, and the husband said, Swamiji, I request you, please recite Rasalila. And Srila Prabhupada replied that, Rasalila is meant for liberated souls. It's not meant for conditioned souls who have material attachments. Well, the man was insistent. He said, Swamiji, please, I request you, please recite Rasalila. And, Prabhupada said, Rasalila is not meant for people who have material attachments. And they sort of glanced at the man's wife to whom he was attached, and then the pictures of their son on the wall. It's quite clear that he had material attachments. But the man was really insistent. And again, he repeated, Swamiji, I request you, please recite Rasalila. My wife and I want to hear you recite Rasalila. And finally, Srila Prabhupada said, well, you may be qualified to hear Rasalila, but I'm not qualified to speak it. So please excuse me. So yeah, for us, it's very important to have that awe reverence for Krishna. My godbrother Burijan Prabhu explains the psychology of the conditioned souls very nicely, although we wouldn't actually articulate it, but it's as if, Burijan Prabhu says, it's as if everyone is walking around and would like to say, excuse me, please. I have a very important announcement to make. I am the center of the universe, and everyone should do exactly as I want to please me. So you can imagine the situation with everyone walking around with that mentality, which is pretty much what the mentality is. And he also said that most people envision their lives as a drama or a movie in which they are the hero or heroine. And they think everyone else is the supporting cast who are supposed to, facilitate their heroic exploits. So again, you can imagine how much conflict can arise from that mentality. Because, I'm thinking, I'm the hero of this movie, and you're meant to support me. And you're thinking, well, no, wait a minute. I'm the hero of the movie, and you're meant to support me. So everyone is thinking they're the heroes or heroines, and that everyone else is meant to support them. But when we realize that Krishna is the hero, Radharani is the heroine, or Mother Yasoda is the heroine, then, and we're meant to support them in their pleasure, then we become satisfied and our relationships with one another become harmonious. So now back to this wonderful purport. The Lord accepts the chastisements of his parents more cheerfully than the prayers of the Vedic hymns. Similarly, he accepts the reproaches of his fiancés more palatably than the Vedic hymns. I think there is a little bit more to that section of Caitanya-caritamrta that I wanted to read. So we had just read that Krishna says, in whatever transcendental mellow my devotee worships me, I reciprocate with him. That is my natural behavior. And then he quotes, Yeya tam mam prapadyante tam stutaiva bhajamyam. Mama vart manuvartante manushya partha sarvashaha. In whatever way my devotees surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. And then Krishna says, I'll skip the Bengali for the sake of time. If one cherishes pure loving devotion to me, thinking of me as his son, his friend, or his beloved, regarding himself as great and considering me as equal or inferior, I become subordinate to him. Mother sometimes binds me as her son. She nourishes and protects me, thinking me utterly helpless. My friends climb on my shoulders in pure friendship, saying, what kind of big man are you? You and I are equal. If my beloved consort reproaches me in a sulky mood, that steals my mind from the reverent hymns of the Vedas. And then Krishna says, taking these pure devotees with me, I shall descend and sport in various wonderful ways, unknown even in Vaikuntha. I shall broadcast such pastimes by which even I am amazed. So you can see how closely this purport is following that section of Sri Caitanya-caritamrta, although Srila Prabhupada doesn't mention it explicitly. The Lord accepts the chastisements of the parents more cheerfully than the prayers of the Vedic hymns. Similarly, he accepts the reproaches of his fiancés more palatably than the Vedic hymns. When Lord Krishna was present in this material world to manifest his eternal pastimes of the transcendental realm of Goloka, Vrindavan, as an attraction for the people in general, he displayed a unique picture of subordination before his foster mother, Yasoda. The Lord, in his naturally childish, playful activities, used to spoil the stopped butter of Mother Yasoda by breaking the pots and distributing the contents to his friends and playmates, including the celebrated monkeys of Vrindavan, who took advantage of the Lord's munificence. Mother Yasoda saw this, and out of her pure love, she wanted to make a show of punishment for her transcendental child. She took a rope and threatened the Lord that she would tie him up, as it is generally done in the ordinary household. So Srila Prabhupada says, as is generally done in the ordinary household. And once when Srila Prabhupada was speaking on this verse, he mentioned that in India they do that if the child is too naughty, they tie him up. But, maybe partly as a punishment, but also just to keep the child from further mischief. Seeing the rope in the hands of Mother Yasoda, the Lord bowed down his head and began to weep, just like a child, and tears rolled down his cheeks, washing off the black ointment smeared around his beautiful eyes. This picture of the Lord is adored by Kunti Devi because she is conscious of the Lord's supreme position. He is feared often by fear personified, yet he is afraid of his mother, who wanted to punish him just in an ordinary manner. Kunti was conscious of the exalted position of Krishna, whereas Yasoda was not. Therefore, Yashoda's position was more exalted than Kunti's. Mother Yasoda got the Lord as her child, and the Lord made her forget altogether that her child was the Lord himself. If Mother Yasoda had been conscious of the exalted position of the Lord, she would certainly have hesitated to punish the Lord. But she was made to forget this situation because the Lord wanted to make a complete gesture of childishness before the affectionate Yasoda. This exchange of love between the mother and the son was performed in a natural way, and Kunti, remembering the scene, was bewildered, and she could do nothing but praise the transcendental filial love. Indirectly, Mother Yasoda is praised for her unique position of love, for she could control even the all-powerful Lord as her beloved child. So this extraordinary position of Mother Yasoda is praised not only here by Queen Kunti, but also by Shukadeva Goswami in Srimad-Bhagavatam. he says, this is Srimad-Bhagavatam 10:9-20. Nemam virincho nabhavo nashir apyanga samshraya prasadam lebire gopi tat yat tat prapa vimuktidat. Translation: neither Lord Brahma, nor Lord Shiva, nor even the goddess of fortune, who is always the better half of the Supreme Lord, can obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the deliverer from this material world, such mercy as received by Mother Yasoda. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is a comparative study between Mother Yasoda and other devotees of the Lord. As stated in Caitanya-caritamrta, Adi 5:142, Ekale Ishwara Krishna Ara Sabha. The only Supreme Master is Krishna, and all others are his servants. Krishna has the transcendental quality of Britya Vashyata, becoming subordinate to his Britya, or servant. That phrase, Britya Vashyata, comes in this section of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Now, although everyone is Britya, and although Krishna has the quality of becoming subordinate to his Britya, the position of Mother Yasoda is the greatest. Lord Brahma is Britya, a servant of Krishna, and he is Adikavi, the original creator of the universe. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye, Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Nonetheless, even he could not obtain such mercy as Mother Yasoda. As for Lord Shiva, he is the topmost Vaishnava, Vaishnava Namyata Shambhu. What to speak of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is the Lord's constant companion in service, since she is always associated with his body. But even she could not get such mercy. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was surprised, thinking, what did Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj do in their previous lives, by which they got such a great opportunity, the opportunity to be the affectionate father and mother of Krishna. In this verse, there are three negative pronouncements: na, na, na. When anything is uttered three times, do it, do it, do it, chant, chant, chant. One should understand that this is meant to indicate great stress on a fact. In this verse, we find nalebire, nalebire, nalebire. Yet Mother Yasoda is in the supermost exalted position, and thus Krishna has become completely subordinate to her. So, on this occasion, we appreciate the wonderful relationship between Mother Yasoda and Damodar Krishna. And yes, we can pray to her to bless us with a fraction of her devotional love for Krishna. Because she's the greatest devotee in one sense. And very kind, soft-hearted, affectionate. who else but someone with the most extraordinary qualities could become the mother of Krishna? As Srila Prabhupada says, the impersonalists, the Mayavadis, want to become one with God, but the pure devotees, such as Mother Yasoda, can become greater than God in the sense that God becomes subordinate to her in their loving relationship. So these are wonderful transcendental phenomenon. Krishna, yes, in the 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, Krishna says that he displays his pastimes to inspire his devotees to become devoted to him and to want to serve him as his pure devotees do in Goloka Vrindavan. So, yeah, I mean, we are meant to have a loving relationship with Krishna, like his devotees in Goloka Vrindavan have. I mean, we cannot become Mother Yasoda, that would be Mayavad, but we can have affection for the Lord like Mother Yasoda, or Nanda Maharaj, or Krishna's cowherd boyfriends or girlfriends. And that will make Krishna happy, and that will make us happy. And of course, Rupa Goswami mentions 5 processes of devotional service that are especially potent. Nama Kirtana, Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtana, Bhagavat Shravana, Mathura Vasa, and Shrimurti Sharanvita Sevita. So Sadhu Sangha has a very specific definition given by Rupa Goswami. Swajati ashaye snigde sadhu sangha swato vare. So swajatiya, the way Srila Prabhupada translated it is one who has a similar affection for the Lord. And in our case, it would be especially important for the sadhu to have a similar appreciation for Srila Prabhupada. So swajati ashaye snigde. So in one reading, that swajati ashaye snigde, have similar affection for the Lord. But another way that snigda can be read in the verse is that the sadhu should be affectionate to us. Swajati ashaye snigde sadhu sangha swatovare. And swatovare means he should be more advanced than we are. So that's the definition of sadhu sangha. So sadhu sangha, nama kirtana, chanting the holy name. Bhagavat shravana, hearing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad-Bhagavatam. Mathura Vasa, residing in Mathura or Vrindavan. And Srila Prabhupada has also said that our temples are like Vrindavan. Once when His Holiness Gaur Govinda Swami was visiting Mauritius, I was mentioning these 5 most important, most potent processes of devotional service. And when I came to Mathura Vas, he looked at me straight in the eyes and he said, Kamsa also lived in Mathura. So, yeah, so we want we want to live Mathura Vas, yes, we want to live in Mathura Vrindavan or Navadvip Mayapur, but obviously not in the consciousness of Kamsa, but in the consciousness of Yashoda, other wonderful devotees. Yeah, and then worshiping the deity with faith and veneration. So yeah, Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtana, Bhagavat Shravana, Mathuravasa, and Murti Sharanvita Sevana. So these are the 5 most potent forms. And Rupa Goswami says that even by a slight association with any one of these 5 processes, one can awaken dormant love for Krishna. But there is a condition, because we do engage in these processes all the time, we hope. And the condition is to be offenseless. But even a slight association with any one of these 5 most potent processes of devotional service can awaken love of Godhead, if one is offenseless. But even if we're not offenseless, if we continue practicing, we'll become offenseless. So there's always hope, good hope. So thank you all for joining.